Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Welcome back for another episode. This is Frank Agan, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections. You are listening to the Networking RX podcast. Thanks to those who are tuned in, and obviously those who've been tuned in the past. You can't have a podcast without an audience. And so I do appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you sharing it. I appreciate people subscribing. I appreciate the comments that people share with me as far as the things I'm doing well, the things I need to focus on, different topics I need to cover. Those are all very helpful for me. One of the things we talk about a lot on this podcast, we talk about becoming known, liked, and trusted, but one of the ways of getting there is just by giving to the world around you, doing things for other people. And I say it, and I say it time and again. Yes, absolutely. By all means, be generous to the world around you. Be generous with your time. Be generous with your talent. Be generous with your treasure. And giving to others is not always about money. In fact, it's seldom about money, but that's certainly a part of it. But somehow or another, add value in the ways that you can add value. And we could, devote episode after episode to things that can create value. Sharing people's posts, commenting on people's posts, encouraging people, giving referrals, sending notes, cards, all sorts of things that you can do for other people, sharing books, articles, volunteering your time. There's really a ton of different things that you can be doing, sharing ideas, information, being empathetic, being encouraging. But through all that, I want to kind of point out that as you're out there adding value to the world, being generous, altruistic, that people are going to accept your contributions, whatever those contributions are, in really one of four ways. The first way that they'll probably accept it is they might do nothing. They might not say anything. I've given referrals, have never heard back. I've done things, shared ideas, articles, and have heard nothing back. And I'm not expecting anything, but I want you to understand that that's going to happen. And that doesn't dissuade me from helping. It just, I might change who I help to, provide help to, but it's not going to change who I am. And I just want to try and focus on being a giver, being somewhat generous to the world around me. And again, it doesn't change who I am. It might change who things go to. For example, years ago when I was practicing law, there was another attorney who had let me know that they did things I didn't do. They were really kind of a courtroom attorney, and that wasn't really where I was comfortable at all. And you have to be kind of a special type of person to do that. Not that I'm afraid of standing up and talking in front of a judge or a jury or anything like that, but it can be a very time-consuming pursuit, and you really have to be well versed in it. I was a business attorney. I understood that. I understood the numbers. I understood the jargon. That's where I was most comfortable. And so this person was certainly comfortable in the courtroom and did things along the lines of criminal type work, which is another kind of whole specialty there. Criminal, drunk driving, things like that. And I would send this person referrals, and I wouldn't hear back, and I kind of chalked it up to, okay, I don't need to hear back because he has attorney-client privilege, and I don't need to know. He can't really tell me what's going on. So I didn't really think anything of it. But at one point we were talking, and I was just, am I on the right path? Am I sending you the right things? And he had alluded, yes, you are. thank you, and basically went on to say that, hey, don't expect anything in return because I can do everything that you do. And, in the moment, it was kind of like, whoa, well, wait a minute here. But that didn't stop me giving. I just found somebody else to give to. I just figured, hey, I'm just, my good deeds are going into a deep, dark hole. Not that I'm expecting anything back, but there's a lot of people out there who do what he does where I feel like I can have more of a relationship with. And so I sort of moved on. And but you will run into people who fail to acknowledge your efforts. And, oh well, don't expect anything anyways. Somebody didn't raise them properly. They might say something later. I've run into people and say, hey, did you get that referral I sent you? Oh, I did. It worked out great. I've been so busy I haven't had time to thank you, which, wow, okay. Maybe I should just stop sending you referrals because you're too busy. And again, not that I'm expecting anything, but that's kind of the thought that goes through your mind. It's like, you know what? I think we always should take the time to thank somebody. Find a reason to thank somebody. Someone years ago challenged me to put the word thank you or some words of appreciation into every email. Even if somebody was coming at me and being very angry, I could respond and say, thank you. I appreciate your candor. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I appreciate the fact that you're sharing, being open with me. But the first thing, you're going to be generous, and then there will be people who just won't even acknowledge it, and that's okay. You're going to run into that. The second type of person you're going to run into is the person who will say thanks. And it comes in all sorts of ways. It might be a quick email. It might be a handwritten note. If you are ever in my office, you'll see that the walls are lined with handwritten notes of thank you that I guess I sort of collect. And it's always nice to hear thanks. It's always nice that people pay special attention to the things that you're doing. Their mama raised them right. So great. There are people who will thank you, and that's awesome. And I certainly try to acknowledge the people who thank me because it doesn't always happen. It literally doesn't. The third type of person that you're going to run into, and you don't run into these people often, but you're going to run into them, and those are the people who will thank you, and then they're going to offer up other ways that you can serve them. And I run into this from time to time. Doesn't happen often, but it always kind of makes me chuckle when it does. There was somebody they had put out. I'm not going to rat people out on my podcast unless you've done something good. Then I will certainly bring your name up. But there was somebody I had shared some. They had put out a nice article, and I had shared it. And I think this is really a good article, and I need to share it with other people. And of course, it was on social media, and I tagged them. And then they sent me a private message saying, hey, thanks for doing that. Here are 3 other articles that I would like for you to share. I was like, okay. Yeah, that's kind of a funny ask there. But whatever, you're going to run into those types of people. Again, it makes me chuckle when these sorts of things happen. And it's not always just social media. I remember at one time referring somebody and then coming back to me totally excited. They thanked me, totally excited that I had referred them, and they wanted to take me out for coffee to share with me some other ideas they had on ways that I could be helping them. And again, I want to be helpful, but it just seemed kind of like an odd approach to the relationship. Hey, I appreciate you've done something for me. Here's some other things that you can do for me. My friend Tom Anderson, he's a franchisee in AmSpirit. It's kind of one of the sayings he has. He's always joking around. You have to know Tom, but he said there are people out there that are just totally into themselves, and they'll say, "Oh, enough about me. What do you think about me?" It's kind of the same sort of thing, Thanks for the referral. Now let's talk about other things you can do for me. So that's the third type. First type, people who do nothing at all. Second type, people who thank you. Third type will thank you, and then they turn the tables. Well, they don't turn the tables. They try and get you to do more for them. The fourth type of person is the type of person, when you do something for them, they're going to thank you. And it may or may not be in a big way. It might be a handwritten note, whatever. They're going to thank you. But then they're going to endeavor to match what you've done, whether it's for you or somebody else. They are just a total giver. There are people out there that I associate with, and I do things. I try to go out of my way for them because they do a lot of neat things. And when I do something, I can't help but notice they're doing things for other people. Berta Medina Garcia is one that comes to mind. Matt Ward's another one comes to mind. Always connecting me with people, and I'm always trying to connect them with people. And quite honestly, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Not that I expect anything of anybody. If I have somebody who needs someone's help, your help, and you're a unique person to deliver that help, then I want to kind of make that connection. If I've got somebody who needs, insurance or their house sold, I want to connect them to the person that's going to help them with whatever their pain is or whatever pleasure they're seeking. And I don't expect anything in return, but when it happens, it's really kind of a neat thing. Or when you see somebody really kind of going the extra mile to make it happen for other people, it's really kind of a neat thing, because those are the people who really sort of get networking. And my advice to you, and again, you're going to run into all types. You're going to run into people who don't do anything. You're going to run into people who will thank you, and that's nice. You're going to run into the few people out there that feel like once you've helped them, that you're a ripe candidate to kind of be their ongoing networking slave. And then you'll run into people who want to do things back, who really want to kind of engage in this ongoing, hey, let's really help each other. Let's climb this mountain. I'm going to move ahead a little bit, and then I'm going to help you up to my place where I'm out on the mountain. And then you move up ahead, and I know that you'll help me. My advice is really double down with those sorts of people. Pay attention to this fourth group, and double down on your efforts to serve them, because that's really where you're going to get a return on what you're doing. Again, I'm not saying I'm not advocating expecting anything in return. Don't keep score. But when you find the people out there that are truly givers, and they're out there, they are, and the more you find them, the more you find them and engage in them, the more you'll come across. It's just a fact of life. It's like anything. When you're starting a business, your first few clients may not be great clients, and then you're going to stumble on a great client, and then you're going to all of a sudden start hitting into more and more great clients, because you know what you're looking for. Those great clients refer you other great clients. You've kind of raised your level of expectation as to what you're going to serve. And it's the same thing here. When you find the people who endeavor to match what you've done by sharing what they have with the rest of the world, double down on serving those people, because it just creates a tremendous return on your time. And the other thing I think it does, and I don't have anything empirical to show this, the other thing I think it does is it creates a standard to which other people can live up to. People are like, well, how can I be more part of your network? My network is built with people who are really givers and try and help other people. And I can see that. It doesn't always have to be for me, but it's got to be for somebody. It's got to be adding value to the world. If you're all about you and focused on you, that's fine if you think that's where you need to be, but I'm not going to align myself on a long-term basis with that. And I just simply leave it at that. So 4 types you're going to run into. You're going to run into the person who does nothing, the person who thanks you, the person who will thank you but wants more, and then the person who really kind of tries to match the things that you've done by sharing to the rest of the world, and double down with that fourth group. In wrapping up, if you know of an entrepreneur, a business owner, or a professional that really seems to enjoy networking and appears well connected, they might be involved in a chamber or perhaps another networking organization, they would be a good person for me to meet. As you know, being network is certainly vital to success, and receiving referrals is the most effective means of generating business. I'd rather have referrals than any other way of finding business. So if you know of such a person, work into the conversation a question. And I know this is a rhetorical question, but ask them, if you had the choice, would you rather be the renter or the person who owns the building? Now they'll probably chuckle at the question and indicate somehow that They would obviously like to own the building rather than being the SAP paying rent. When they do, indicate that you're familiar with the franchise opportunity through AmSpirit Business Connections, where they can be instrumental in not just being part of a network, but also building the network and profiting from the group or the groups that people start. From there, suggest that they contact me using the emails we provide at the end of the podcast or within our show notes. Or better yet, if you would email them and then email me in the same message, connecting the two of us, I would appreciate that. That would be a big thank you from me. And with that big thank you, I won't suggest other things you can do for me. I will try and go the extra mile for you.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AMSPIRIT.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.